Hello everyone, I'm José Luis Pereira, a front-end developer and multimedia designer at the Speechify group, and today I'm here to show you where TaxonPages is now, the new features, how it works, and the new ways you can set up, run, and extend it. Wherever you are using it, or just curious about the framework, this presentation shall give you everything you need to get started. So, before we get into the new features, let me give you a quick introduction to TaxonPages for those who are new here. TaxonPages is a tool designed to help you to build public interfaces for TaxonWorks projects, and the goal is to deliver a great experience on both sides: modern, simple, and responsive websites for the public, and a small, efficient experience for people behind them. It is easy to use, even if you don't have technical experience. Anyone can have their own TaxonPages site running in just a few clicks. At the same time, it offers extensive options for configuration and customizations. Since the last TaxonWorks together, we have been working to expand TaxonPages on several fronts, adding new modules to surface different kinds of data, new panels for TaxonPages, and new tools that give you more flexibility to set up and extend your project. One of the new modules is the Darwin Core search. Here you can search and filter OTUs by scientific name, author, and distribution. Additional filters are available for classification and specimen records. You can expand each OTU to see each type material and specimen records. And also, you can download the complete results as a Darwin Core file. We also added a bibliography search. You can filter references by author, by any text in the citation, or by publication date. Each reference in the results can be expanded to show a list of OTU associated with that reference. We have also added a new interface to visualize images matrices. The images are displayed in a grid, making it easy to browse through a large set of species. You can click on any image to zoom in and see additional information. And finally, the News module. It gives you a simple way to share updates and stay connected with your community. It displays all public posts from TaxonWorks project on a dedicated page. There is also a widget that you can add to the homepage to display the recent news. We have been also working on the panel side. One is a new panel for explaining biological associations. It can include citations, images, and certain distributions for each one. Another one is a new panel that brings together every reference citing an OTU, includes those cited from related records. We have also updated the distribution panel. It now indicates not only where a taxon is present, but also where it is absent, including absence inferred from higher level taxa. We have refreshed the Darwin Core pop-up table on the map, adding specimen images and improved layout. On the tooling side, we built the TaxonPages command line interface, a small command line tool to manage your whole project from one place. You can use it to create new projects, run the local server, build the site, install packages, or update TaxonPages itself. It also includes a setup wizard. This is a visual tool that runs right in the browser. With it, you can configure your whole TaxonPages site without writing any code or editing configuration files. So, let's watch a demo to learn more about this. We are going to create a TaxonPages project from the scratch using the new setup. For this, we will use the TaxonPages config repository. It already includes the configuration files and a step-by-step guide to help us to set everything up. First, we click on Use this template and then select Create a new repository. Next, we need to choose a name for the repository. It can be anything, but we will use TaxonPages since it's the default and already configured. If we choose a different name, we will need to make a small change as explained in the documentation. Then, we just wait a few seconds while GitHub sets up the repository. Once it's ready, we go to Settings, then Pages, and under View and Deployment, we select GitHub Actions. At this point, our TaxonPages site is already up and running. Now, we just need to wait for GitHub Actions to finish. If we click on Details, we can follow the progress and see what's happening behind the scenes. Right now, it is building everything and getting it ready for deployment. Then we go back to the repository. After a few seconds, in the deployment sections, we can see that GitHub Pages is now green. We click on it, and from there, we find the URL of our site. If we click on it, we see that the site is already live. Now we just need to connect the site to the TaxonWorks API. There are two ways to do this. We can go with the usual way, which is editing the API file inside the configuration folder, or we can use the new setup wizard, which just simplifies the whole configuration process. To get it started, we will clone this repository to our computer. Then we open the terminal and run the git clone command to create our local repository. After that, we go into the new folder and install TaxonPages by running npm install. When that is done, we start TaxonPages by running npm run dev. Once the server starts, click on the URL and we will see TaxonPages running locally. Now, let's configure the API connection. First, we open the setup wizard by running npm run setup. Once we are inside, we go to the API connection section, and here we have two ways to set up the project. We can search for our project in the TaxonWorks instance running on the specified group servers, or we can connect it manually by entering the API URL and the project token. In this case, we will use your top tier specified project from the production instance. So we save the configuration and TaxonPages automatically detect the change and restarts. Now that everything is connected, we can go to the home page and search for a taxon. We will use the autocomplete search to find a species. And once we open the taxon page, we can see all the information loading from the TaxonWorks into different panels. And of course, all these panels can be customized from the setup wizard. Each panel works as an independent component, so we can decide exactly which one we want to display and where they should appear. We can rearrange them between the columns, hide the ones we don't need, or even add completely new ones. This makes it easy to adapt TaxonPages to different kind of projects. Now let's take a look at another new feature, the Package Manager. This allows us to extend TaxonPages by installing panels, modules, or plugins created by the specified group or by the community. And these packages can also add completely new functionality, including panels that load information from external APIs and services. As an example, we will install a panel to display iNaturalist observations. When we install a package that is not created by a specified group, a warning message appears. This is just to let us know that the package comes from the community, so we shall only continue if we trust the author. We accept it, and then we go back to the TaxonPage settings. From there, we add a new tab, and inside it we add the iNaturalist panel. Panels also have their own settings. By default, all panels allow us to choose the taxonomic rank group where they shall be visible. Once we save the changes, the new panel becomes available directly in the Taxon page. Here we can see the iNaturalist observation loading inside their own tab. In this case, we can also change the image size and search settings. Now, let's move to another part of TaxonPages, the home page. TaxonPages let us create pages using Markdown or Vue.js component, and every time we save, the change appears right away. For this example, instead of building a home page from the scratch, we are going to replace the default one. So first, we remove the default home page. Then, we use the Package Manager to install a community module that already includes a home page design. Once it is installed, TaxonPages now has a new homepage. Modules can also include their own configuration pages. So, from the setup wizard, we can configure this one by enabling or disabling sections and adding the content we want to show. Once the setup is complete, the homepage looks like this. Another thing we can do is change the color palette. The setup wizard includes 6 preset color schemas that work in both light and dark mode, and we can still set each color individually. As soon as we save the changes, the new colors are applied throughout the entire site. Because each color schema includes both light and dark mode, the override design remains consistent when we switch between them. This makes it easy to personalize the site while we keep the same visual style across the whole project. At this point, everything is ready to be published. We just need to update the changes to GitHub so the live website gets updated too. First, we add the modified files. Then, we create a commit with a short message describing the update. And finally, we push everything to GitHub. After a few seconds, GitHub Pages rebuild the site automatically and the changes are already live. Now we have a fully working TaxonPages project connected to TaxonWorks with all our changes already applied. From here, we can continue extending it with new modules, panels, and configurations as needed. There is still much more to explore in the setup wizard, but I will leave that for you to discover. I hope this gives you a good starting point for building your own TaxonPages. So before we finish, I would like to tell you a little more about panels. As you saw in the demo, TaxonPages doesn't have a fixed layout. Every TaxonPages is built from panels that you can choose and arrange however you want. And those panels can come from different places. Your own, the ones that came with TaxonPages, and panels made by other users. So let's see how this works and what a panel actually is. So a panel is an independent component unit that contains its own UI, its own data fetching, and its own configuration schema. It doesn't know anything about the rest of the page, and the rest of the page doesn't know anything about it. On the right, you can see that the panel is just a folder with at least two files, a Vue.js component and a main.js file that works as a manifest. The manifest defines three things: the panel ID used to reference it from the Taxa page configuration, the component to load, and optionally a rank group to scope the panel to specific ranks. If the panel has configuration options, you can optionally provide a setup schema to define the configuration fields. The setup wizard will automatically render the configuration form as you saw in the demo. So, a Taxa page is just a list of panels in a configuration file. You decide which panels to include, where they appear, and under what conditions. Because every panel follows the same convention, a panel can live inside your project or be distributed as an npm packages, and it still works exactly the same way. Now, how does TaxonPages actually find these panels and modules? Basically, it has a discovery system that looks in two places. First, it checks your own project folder. If you drop a panel into the panels folders, TaxonPages will pick it up automatically. Modules and plugins works on the same way. The other place is any packages you have installed from npm. TaxonPages will automatically detect those that include a TaxonPages field in its package.json. And that is why adding things feels so simple. You drop a folder in your project or install a package from npm and it works. No setup and nothing to register. Alright, that's everything for the new features. Some of these have been built based on the community feedback. For the start, we have been building TaxonPages with the idea that the users can extend it with their own modules and panel. This year, we have seen some truly amazing things built by the community, and I hope these changes help to continue with that. If there is something missing for your use case, please open an issue in the TaxonPages issue tracker and we will do our best to provide a solution. Thank you for joining me today. Before we finish, I wanted to leave you a few links that will help you to explore more about TaxonPages. I will put them in the chat. You will see that some of these examples include customizations and new features made by users, such as a custom panel and new pages. If you already have a TaxonPages project and you want to try TaxonPages, just go to the TaxonPages template repository. You will find a setup instructions in the README, and if you follow them, you should have your site up and running in just a few minutes. And of course, if you run into any trouble or have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always happy to help you, especially through GitHub channel. Thanks again for your time, and I hope you find these new features useful, and we are excited to see what you build with TaxonPages.